Hi, welcome to Wisecat. Okay, so in today's video we're going to be looking to the future. Back to the future because Moodle 4.5 is a-coming and there's a little change to server security settings that you should probably implement before you upgrade to Moodle 4.5 or when you actually do upgrade to Moodle 4.5, that'd be good too. Anyway, previously I did a video about the web server's security settings and things like that, and so there'll be a card somewhere if I can figure out how to do that. Otherwise, I'm going to give a general overview anyway in this video, so let's get into it. Alright, so I'm going to cruise down into the corner like I usually do. And here we go. I've got my standard test Moodle set up, and inside Moodle itself there is actually a good report here that will give us some decent security checks. So if we just have a look at those, we can see that these three here, these are the three that I typically see that people fail to be careful about. And so we're going to try and clean up these three ones here. The first one is check all private and public and private paths, and that's the main one that we're going to look at today. The first one we'll probably deal with is this one, this writable config.php, and then the second one is executable paths. Now both of these refer to config.php. That's how you fix them. So let's go and fix those two straight up. So I'll bring up my terminal here, and I'm already logged into the server, and I'm in the directory that is actually hosting the Moodle. So if I just do a quick ls, you can see there's my Moodle code here. And so we're going to fix these first two problems in config.php. Now, if I just get that out of the way for a second here, if we look at the writable config.php, well, let's look at the executable paths things first. So what does this mean? This means that your config.php file doesn't have this line in it. Now what does that line do? Well, what that line does is it takes it so if you go to, say, server paths, system paths here, all of these right now, I could say change that to, say, du, I could change that to duck, and I could save that. So you can set these through the web user interface and things like that, and that's not a good thing to have settable. Ooh, that didn't actually save, but anyway, that's not a good thing to have, that you can change these paths, these system paths through the web user interface, because you might have an admin who comes in and messes up the settings and stuff like that. But there are other reasons as well. But anyway, it's better to have those specified, these paths specified in the config.php, and that way they're basically locked in and they can't be changed. So let's make that happen. The way to do this is to edit your config.php. And so we're going to edit config.php. And inside of here, down here somewhere along here, yeah, there it is. You can see that I've got this prevent exec path equals true. I've got the line is already there. I just commented it out, but I'm going to uncomment it. And below that, what you can see is I've got all the paths here, the path to GS, the path to PHP, path to DU. All of those paths that need to be specified are specified here in the config.php. Now, when it comes to ClamAV, because that's actually technically a plugin, we're going to have to add it here as the antivirus ClamAV plugins, path to clam, and the right hand side of that is the path right there. And so that's a forced plugin setting. So system paths and then the forced plugin setting paths as well can be all mentioned inside of config.php now. So if I write that out, and then I come back here and refresh my browser window, you'll see that all of these now are setting out executable and local paths is disabled in config.php, and the paths are actually set and fixed. They can't be changed. They're now all configured, but they're all configured in the config.php. So that makes it a little bit more secure on that one. So now if we go back to our reports page and go to our security checks again, we should see that that one, the executable paths one, is taken care of. Sure, that's great. Right, and that's the first problem solved. The second problem is the writable config.php. Now if I click on here and get more information here, it'll say that PHP scripts may modify config.php. And more info, I think that takes me to this page again. It just loops back on itself. But anyway, It's recommended that the file permissions of config.php are changed after installation so that the file cannot be modified by the web server. Doesn't improve the security of the server significantly, though it may slow down and limit general exploits. Alright, so anyway, it does do a little bit to make sure that this can't be overwritten by, say, if the server can't find the database or something like that. And I mean, peace of mind, right? That's what we're going for right here. So we're going to I'm going to exit out of that one there. If we look at the ls-la of config.php, if we look at config.php, you can see here right now, I've got it, it's read, write, rewrite. This is the devil's permissions here, because the mode is actually 666. Devil's permission. Now we don't want that. We want the mode of, say, 444, so nothing can edit it. Right, so what we'll do is we'll do chmod for change mode, and we'll change it to 444 config.php. Now, okay, file permissions and everything is a big topic in its own, but basically there are 3 types of permissions you can add: read, write, and execute. And read is 4, write is 2, and execute is 1. Now you add those together and that tells you what it is. So read is 4, and so 444 we'll change it to read. So now we've only got read permissions on that, and that will have solved that problem there. Trouble is that, like before, if we try to nano config.php now, it'll say file config.php is unwritable, and I can't save the file anymore. I can't change it myself. I would have to either change the file permissions, or if I just add a sudo before that, it'll say that config.php is meant to be read-only. Your root, you sudoed in so you can save it, but, hey, maybe, think twice before you're making edits to this file. It's not supposed to be editable. So there are those 2 ways as well. You can change the file permissions back, or you can get your sudo to really, sudo make me a sandwich, and go into God mode, and then you can change everything. Alright, so that one now, if I refresh this one, it's going to say it's okay. And so now as well, if we continue and go back to the security checks, we have got the writable config.php is solved, and the executable path is solved, and they're just saying, okay, this is configured as it should be. Okay, so the next one on public and private paths. Now this one, if we click into it, you'll see that it starts with, bhat files should not be public, and yeah, okay, bhat files are used for testing and stuff like that, shouldn't be public, but it's not just bhat files. You'll see that there are a whole bunch of files here. Now this one here, the git one, is returning a 403. .git is protected out of the box by Debian's NGINX install, it would seem. Should ideally be a 404 as well. So we've got a few things here. We've got a whole bunch of files here that can be seen, and they don't need to be visible. And you might think, okay, they don't need to be visible. That's not a big issue, right? Well, you got to think like a hacker on this one. And to think like a hacker, what we're going to think is, okay, images are, these files are giving away information about our server. Now, if you were to try and hack a Moodle, one way that you might want to do it, one thing that you might want to find out, for example, is what updates have been installed. How current is this Moodle install? Is the code up to date or something? Or has the person done something, silly like installing Moodle 4.1 and never ever updating it, thinking, incorrectly, hey, I'm on an LTS, so I don't have to update anymore. You do have to update. I did a video on that one as well, and I don't know if I can figure out the card thing. I'll try and links in the description below. That one's easy. All right. So anyway, the problem is here. For example, the readmes and things like that. These are files that you probably don't want people to be able to see. And one of the big ones, one of the big bads is, because I was thinking about this the other day. I was thinking, if I wanted to find out what a Moodle is running, how far they've come up, and what vulnerabilities they're still vulnerable to, how would I do that? And the number one file that I would think of to go into is probably this one here, lib/upgrade.txt. Now, in an out-of-the-box web server that hasn't actually been configured to hide this path, it'll be visible. And there it is for this particular Moodle, which is a brand spanking new one, current. So it's got the changes. So basically, this file describes API changes in core libraries and APIs and things like that, right? So it describes the changes. Now, this is information that's mainly useful for developers. But it does also have like headers here saying, you know, when these changes were made. So there's 4.4.2, 4.4.1, 4.4, and everything. Now, if we think fourth dimensionally, let's think, imagine it's 5 years down the track. The current Moodle version is like, I don't know, Moodle 75.2 or something, and I'm still rocking 4.4.2. You can tell by looking at this file, well, not exactly, but you can tell almost exactly how far I've come. Right? If we go back to say 4.1 or something, we'll be able to see that there'll be, you know, if you're running Moodle 4.1.2 or something like that, you might have, at the top of this file will be 4.1.2. It'll tell on you. Now, you should have something like 4.1.13 or something by now. But if you don't have it, and this file is visible, the bad guys out there, they can find out, they can figure out that you're vulnerable to those security patches that haven't been patched on your server. That's bad, because now they've basically got a blueprint on how to hack your server. So that's not a good thing. We don't want to show them that. So we don't want to show any of these files, and all of these files can give away something else about your server. So you definitely want to prevent them from being visible. Now, fortunately, even on the Moodle homepage, you can go to the documentation, get into the installation quick guide for administrators, and they actually have a nice little cheat sheet here for, say, here's NGINX and here's Apache. And I was having a look at these recently, and they needed a little bit of a tweak and an upgrade for 4.5, so I've actually done that. But basically here, we have this hiding internal files area here. And also the error pages is something that we also want to add here. But we want to add these pieces of configuration to our NGINX configuration. In particular, it's a good place to put this is in the virtual hosts file. So we'll go and do that at the moment. Actually, my virtual host file already has these lines in there. I've commented them out for the purposes of demonstrating this video. But anyway, let's go and fix these bits up, and there it is. So basically, you can just copy and paste this directly from the Moodle documentation, the Moodle docs here. Now, today I'm working with NGINX. Maybe later I'll redo this video for Apache. Apache, it's very similar, except you have to go in here and grab these files here instead. And also you might have to also enable the module for the Apache module for mod rewrite, and get that to work. Some versions, you know, for example, it says required on Ubuntu. If you're running, say, CentOS or something else, maybe it's enabled by default. CentOS actually probably not likely. Debian, maybe, I don't know. But I would actually expect it to be enabled on Ubuntu by default. But there you go. The documentation says nah. So anyway, you should add these in. Now there's these ones here are also very, very similar to the other one that I'm not really going to focus on because I don't really know enough about it, but that's IIS servers. If you go to IIS servers, the config looks to be the same, except be a little bit careful here because this has them all commented out. So they won't do anything if they're all commented out. So maybe you need to remove these hashtags. And probably be better just to copy it directly from the Apache side, actually, even if you're using IIS. I don't know. I've never really worked with IIS, so I don't really know what the score is there. But anyway, we're doing with NGINX, and NGINX actually just takes it as a location block here. and just says if the location is any of these locations, just say nah and don't just return a 404 on that. Now, some servers will actually say, well, these are unauthorized locations, so we should do a 403. But the rationale, as I've had this explained to me before as well, is the idea of if you put a 403 out there, then you're saying you're not allowed in there. It exists, but you're not allowed in there. And that's also giving, it's like dangling the carrot in front of hackers saying, hey, try to get into here. But if you say 404 all the time, it's just, I know nothing. So the 404 is a better return code to actually return here. It says, there's nothing to see here. It may be a lie, but it's a lie that might keep you safe. So we're going to add these next here. Now there are actually two parts of this actually, this one, and these could technically be combined, but they're separate in here, and I don't see any real reason to actually put them to. Oh, wait a minute, no, this one's got an extra deny all directive in there, whereas this one is straight up 404. The first one, what it does, it hides all the dot files. So in our report, the ones that are saying like .git, .git/head, .github, .stylelint rc, these should be hidden by that first directive. And the remainder of those, the readmes, the upgrade.txt, etc., etc., they'll all be hidden by the next block down here, which is vendor node modules. But there's the readmes, there's the upgrade.txt, etc., etc. Right? So let's go in and make those config changes. So this is in the the NGINX sites enabled vagrant.wisecat.net. So this is where I'll shrink myself down again. And he was small again. So inside here we've got the vagrant.wisecat.net. This is my lovely virtual host file for NGINX, and you can see here they are. I've got all of the ones here, and you can see I've commented them out. So let's first do the dot files. Let's do them one by one and see how that changes our report, shall we? So if I remove this one, this is the what this one does here is it's basically saying anything that starts with a dot and does not have well-known attached to it, because well-known can be useful. So we might want the well-known ones to actually go through, and we just want anything else with a dot that starts with a dot, then just say it doesn't exist. So we do that. We'll save that file, and now we have to restart or reload the NGINX service to make sure that those configuration changes have actually taken effect. So now let's go back to our security checks here, and some of these ones here that are like git head, that should be no problem. Now let's give it a shot and see what happens. And yeah, you can see the .git, .githhead, .github/funding.yaml, etc., .stylelint, all the ones beginning with the dot are taken care of. Okay, so they're all, Moodle is expecting a 404s for these. It's getting a 404 for these, so we're golden here. Not a problem at all. All right, so let's continue and get all those other files invisible as well. Okay, coming back up here, I will edit this thingamabob again. And this time we'll do these other ones, right? So here's the big long one, and there's the deny all, return 404, and the closing brace for that location block, right? So this is the one that we're implementing now. And this is seriously just copy pasted directly from the Moodle site, so you don't even have to think about what's in there that much. But now if I reset that file, reload this. Whoops, I've got to I forgot to restart NGINX, and there's the restart of NGINX again, and you can see no restart of NGINX, it's not going to update the report. But now that I've done that restart, you can see all of these are going down. They're mostly okay. Except this one here is, for example, directory index should not be enabled. Return to 403, ideally should be a 404. Alright, so basically the 403s that you get should all be 404s, because it's better to just say, nah, nothing lives here, instead of saying, you're not allowed here. There's naughty stuff in here to be had, and tell the hackers that, yeah, this is an exciting directory. Yeah, you're basically taunting them, getting them to come in and steal your stuff. So, there's one more set of configuration in there that I haven't quite touched on yet, and it's this one that was actually the first one. So this one's actually pretty cool, because if you look at what happens at the moment, if I try to go to upgrade.txt, right, bang, I open it and it comes up with this 404 page, right, 404 not found, and it actually gives a little bit of the game away by saying, hey, this server's running NGINX and 1.22.1, right. So what this line here does is this one will actually say, okay, for 404 pages, when you get the 404 error, don't display this, pass it to Moodle so that it can be themed. So it'll look more Moodle-y, right? But not only does it do that, this line actually does double duty here, because it's actually two lines, right? And this is the second line here. If the error is a 403, then it's a 404. Right? So this is pretty cool. And this is yeah, so the error that was thrown might have been a 403, and there might be other 403s as well that you've protected, said, you know, you're not allowed to go into there. But this is saying, yeah, I don't care if it's a 403, tell them it's a 404. Right? And 403, by the way, is permission denied. You're not allowed to go in there, access denied type stuff. And 404 is just not found, you know. What, you know, you might say, hey, you know, I want to get into this top secret lair. Okay, you're not allowed in the top secret lair. Instead of saying that, it's more like, what top secret lair? there's nothing to see here. There's what top? I don't know any top secret lair. So anyway, if we save that and restart our NGINX service again, now this page here, this 404, is going to be themed a little differently, and now it looks like this. It looks more Moodle-y, right? You got the 404 file not found. It gives you a little bit of a message. This also can have, you know, a link to the admin, the site support page and stuff like that if users are actually logged in. So if there's some error or something, they have some recourse, and also they can easily get back to the server where they're supposed to be. Right, so let's go back to this check now, and if we reload this page, now everything's coming through as 404s on the hidden paths, and everything is golden. Right, if we go back to our security checks now we can see all three of these are perfect. Right, now this is a couple of additional things that I'd like to add, and this is where the 4.5 stuff comes in. So this is, okay, first of all, there's a point of irony that I found tonight. This server is a locally running Vagrant server, so it's not actually running on HTTPS, but in the security checks dialog here, there's nothing about HTTPS or not. Which, if there are actual Moodle HQ people watching this video, that's weird. I would have expected to see an announcement about that. There does exist an announcement inside of the environment down here. It'll actually say site not HTTPS here. I have a feeling that this should probably actually be in the security checks, but for some reason it's not. Now the next thing about is regarding these public and private paths. As we saw before, the lib.upgrade.php one is probably the worst one, right? But, and just a second, Just a sec. I got to get the GitHub repository up. Let's see. Okay, so if I go here, github.com/Moodle/Moodle. Right. So this is the Moodle GitHub repository. And inside of here, if we stay on the main branch, okay, that main branch basically now means Moodle 4.5, right? And if we look at that file, let's go to library here, the lib, and upgrade.txt. There it is. So there's the upgrade.txt. And you can see in here, from 4.5 onwards, the change is that this file has been replaced by upgrading.md. Right? And you can see MDL 81125 for further information. Essentially, what that does, tracker.moodle.org, and if we check out, I should have prepared these beforehand, but anyway, if I check out that one, that issue there, introduce tooling. So basically the devs are doing, okay, it's fixed, it's coming in for Moodle 4.5, which means that they're changing the way that they're leaving these upgrade notes and things like that behind, and you know, a lot of blah 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 there, but basically it's becoming Markdown. Markdown is prettier, easier to see and stuff like that, easier to read. So I can sort of understand why they're doing this a little bit, but you know, basically I don't understand all of that, but the important thing is that in your NGINX configuration, before, up to just recently, this part of the commands here, the upgrading.md, did not exist in this directive. So if you've set up your Moodle a long time ago and you set up the configuration and you're saying, oh, I got everything good, good and golden, ready to go, then the upgrading MD probably isn't listed there to say, hey, this should also be hidden. But from Moodle 4.5 onwards, it's going to be very important to make sure that that file is also hidden. So the documentation here, I actually added this upgrade in .md here. If somebody complains and says, hey, you got it wrong or something, that's it. And also I've added it to the Apache configuration here. I didn't touch the IIS one because I don't fully understand why the IIS one is all commented out, but I imagine that it would just be a matter of, you know, adding the same sort of line as in the Apache one there as well. So anyway, that's the Back to the Future aspect of this video, is to actually tell you that, hey, this is going to need to be changed in the very near future because Moodle 4.5 is already on the horizon. We can see it coming, and at that time you're going to need to have this one hidden as well. Okay, so that's it for today's video. Thank you very much for watching. Like, subscribe, do all those good things, and until the next time, happy Moodling. See ya.